Hey, welcome back to Two Ski Geeks. Two Ski Geeks. It's been so long. I've been away that I can't even say that word. Two Ski Geeks, and I'm your boy Will Call. I'm so happy to be back with you. It's been a long, probably 3 or 4 months since I've been away, and and some of it laziness. I apologize, and some of it also because of the fact also working on writing a book. So that's been my adjustment to the schedule or to my schedule. Uh, is just doing writing. I like dedicate at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting up, writing for about an hour, some change, loose change, and then get myself together and then go to work. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months. I'm probably maybe about 70% done with this story. For sure, it's one of the things. Writing is one of the things that I recognize is something I want to do and have had a passion for. Kind of like I didn't recognize it for a while, but yeah, it's turned into something that I've been doing. Uh, hmm, I guess without confidence for probably almost 30 years, but just didn't have the confidence enough to think I could do it as a career. But now that I'm winding one career down for the federal government and going into retirement from that, and then getting ready to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, even though I'm 55. Uh, Yeah, it's something I want to do and I enjoy doing. And it's also funny because if you notice the tenor of the shows when I look at the present content to you for comic books, I'm always excited about the writer first. And I've been that way for quite a while. It's the writing, it's the content of what those guys, the writers have in their heads and how they translate it onto paper and also how they translate it to the artists to give you the best, depiction of what's going on in that headspace. Um, those are the things that I'm really passionate about. And so I'm hoping one of these days when I get finished with this one, it's a love letter to Tuskegee, TU. And as you say for the two ski geeks, that's where the TU two comes from for the two ski geeks to two Tuskegee geeks. So yeah, it's a love letter to Tuskegee, and I'm very hopeful that the content of that story uh, brings to Tuskegee a lot of love and popularity. Well, let me say notoriety, because I am definitely a child of Tuskegee, and my life would not be what it is without it. So anyway, getting into the tenor of the show. So I'm going to change like how we do the show. In fact, this show is called Bagging and Boarding, and I, for sure somewhat beering. This one here is a rye. It's called Rye by Boulevard Brewing Company. I believe they're out of Kansas, Missouri, and Kansas City, Missouri. And anyway, the other thing on that uh, bagging, boarding, and I was also going to call it bull jiving because really what I'm just going to do is sit up here and talk to you as I find books to bag and board and just talk to you through some things because I've got a bunch of crap to show you today, but this is going to be broken up into many sessions. So let's get to the bagging and boarding. So where does I put my bags and boards? So that is a modern book. Okay. So let's look at bagging and boarding, showing you what to do. So these size bags are silver size bags, silver age comic bags. And for the most part, they work pretty well with the books that are from the 1950s until the early 70s, is what they call the Silver Age. And those books are a little bit bigger than your normal modern age books that came about in I guess from the 90s on. So the 70s to the 90s, they would consider that like the copper, copper bronze age or whatever. And when they went to a little smaller format book. than those in the 50s and 50s to the 60s. And also, of course, the golden age books. And so I got some stuff too that's golden age, but it's already bagged and boarded. And I'll show you some stuff. As I said, I'm just bagging and boarding and bull jiving with you and just trying to figure out how to do stuff. But these are Silver Age bags, and I took the label out, but these are Silver Age boards. Typically, they give a lot of space around the book, where the book can move around inside the plastic, but the board is much bigger than, let's hold it up, than the book. If I can get a doggone board out of here, all of a sudden now the cardboard doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, but as you can see, this board is larger than, much larger than the book itself. And so that's what you get with a Silver Age bag and board. And it will move around somewhat. Now, of course, the cardboard is fit to the, in fact, let's show you. In fact, you're supposed to try to talk it out. Let's just show you. There. And again, this is like a somewhat of a modern age book, even though it came out in the 90s. But so what I tend to do is just open the bag and board, slip in my board. And as you can see, the board pretty well fits the bag. But then you have a little bit of edge on the side. You have a little bit of edge. And then you also then slide in the book. And so there's going to be some gaps in there, between the board, the book. So there's some sliding that can happen with a modern book and Silver Age packaging or Silver Age bagging and boarding. And so if you put it right in the box and keep it there for years or whatever, where the books don't move around, for the most part, you got a safe product. But what you can do is, I'm going to take this out of this one. Got my Silver Age here. Then we also have your current comic book size bags. And of course, I'm going to have a current size board to go along with it. And it will be a tighter fit around. Uh-oh. I think I've got the wrong size boards on this one. Oh man, I thought I had my silver, thought I had current boards to go with this one here. I think I'm asked, oh, I'm sorry, butt out. But but I thought I had some current boards, but I do not. Oh man. So I had everything together in the same bag, but that boarding says silver on it. And so I think I'm going to have to just stay with the silver today as opposed to current. And I'm sorry I can't show, let me see here. I'll show you an example of a current bag and board. So this is a new book. And as you can see, the new book fits the bagging and boarding like perfectly. It's a snug fit. There's no give on the edges or anything of the sort. It's a perfect almost fit. Now, what's good about it is just enough board on the edge to protect the edge of the book, but the book will not slide around too much inside of a current bagging and boarding system that goes with current bags and boards. And right now, I thought I had some new bags. I thought I had some current boards, but I do not. Not handy anyway. So my bad. I'm sorry I can't show you that. I thought I came ready, but I didn't. Wasn't as ready as I thought. Should have double checked my boards. But anyway, so let's go back to my silver because I'm still bagging and boarding. I got to bag and board some of these books around here. So, and I went shopping yesterday at one of the local comic book stores called Gateway Comics in Woodbridge, Virginia. just south of DC, about 20-25 miles south of DC. So yeah, thanks to Gateway Comics. Now, I didn't get this one from Gateway, but I'll pull out some other stuff and I'll let you know when I get to it. And anyway, so uh had a great time over there yesterday with my man Troy, who works, and I didn't get the name of the new guy who works with him, but they're a great tag team uh at Gateway Comics over there in Woodbridge. Had a great time hanging out with those cats yesterday for a couple of hours. One thing I'll say about Troy, he does know his stuff. He will try to sell you and will convince you to buy more than what you intended to come in there for. But he's that good. He's that good. Thank you, Troy, for the stuff that we got. So in between my bagging and boarding, I'll show you some stuff. Like I said, some bagging, boarding, and bull jiving. So history lesson. I've been reading and procuring, uh, and we've talked about this character in the past. A Golden Age character came out in 1938, or I believe 38. No, 31. Let me make sure I'm right. Because this story here, The Shadow, and we've talked about The Shadow in the past. This is one of the early stories of The Shadow by Maxwell Grant, or by his other name, Walter B. Gibson. Maxwell Grant was his pen name, but Walter B. Gibson is his real name. And as you see in here, they'll tell you Walter B. Gibson writing as Maxwell Grant. So this is one of his first and early stories. And what you didn't know, if you didn't know it, but I've not talked about it as thoroughly as I am going to right now, as I said, bull jiving, was the fact that The Shadow started as straightly as a radio show, uh, and which I downloaded, and you can too on Amazon Audible, The Shadow radio show that had in it the the shadow was portrayed, and what I can show you is in this book, uh, Orson Welles, and he's depicted here. Orson Welles and his cast. We've got Betty Gard and Frank Ricadic, I believe. Man, I need to put on my damn glasses. Where are my eyeballs? Oh, here they are. Yeah. I said I'm 55. These 55-year-old eyes, man. I can't no more. I used to have 20/10 vision. Used to be able to see it 20 feet. Well, most people had to see it 10, had to get up at 10 feet to see, but no, not anymore. Frank Redick, Readi. Yeah, Frank Redick, and Ray Collins. Ray Collins is the guy. So Orson Welles, Betty Gard, and Ray Collins. Yeah, sorry. Ray Collins those are the three. Orson Welles, Betty Gard, and Ray Collins, Ray Collins played the commissioner. Orson Welles played the Shadow, and Betty Gard played Margot Lane. And so that was the radio show, and it started, I believe, in 1931-ish. It was the early 30s for sure. And it became so successful that they decided to make it a story, and so they hired Walter Gibson to write the story, the Shadow stories. And so this is one of his earlier one. This is one of the earliest stories. This one is the copyright on this story is 1933. Yeah, 1933 was the first, is one of his earliest writings on the Grove of Doom story, in which I'm almost finished with that story. I am, yeah, I'm getting into this Grove of Doom, this story with the Shadow, uh, and it's pretty good. And what's crazy about this, and I like this because this is it looks like this story, The Grove of Doom, was number 14. And so that would put, if it was a number one, he started somewhere in late 1931. and then wrote up through 1933 with this story here. Uh, yeah, so that would heal. Yeah, this said I was correct in my said 1931 with the radio and the writing of the shadow. And so what's really cool, and I see here the mysterious origin of the shadow, volume number 15 in 1933. It's called The Living. Get a little closer. The Shadow Unmasks. And so what's really cool, and I love it that I found this because I've been wanting to record a show for the last couple of weeks, but I've been holding and pausing and whatever. So, but I did find, where are you? Is it in this pile or are you here? Where are you? Now I got to come better organizing this. I thought I had everything organized to sit here when I first sat down because I've been up since early this morning to find my material for you. Uh, where is it? Where did I put you? Man, we're gonna pause real quick till I find it. I'm gonna pause and then I'll find it. Stand by, everybody. I apologize for the delay. Stand by. Okay, better organized now. But anyway, the book that I was showing you within that Grove of Doom, I ended up buying from the same publisher, this Nostalgia Ventures, the same book, I'm sorry, The Shadow Unmasks. And this is the first uh, time when, when the Shadow had been previously known as Lamont Cranston. And as we well know, if you look at some of the movies and listen to the radio shows and things of that nature, uh, Lamont Cranston was always known as the Shadow. Well, in this one they reveal that Lamont Cranston is actually a stolen identity. Quite honest, people call it borrowed, but it's actually a stolen identity from another person named Lamont Cranston. But the Shadow is actually named Kent Allard, Allard, Kent Allard, and so this is more of an origin story of the Shadow revealing himself as Kent Allard, who was a World War One fighter pilot that got injured in a plane crash, and becomes where he crashed somewhere like goes to the Orient or the to the like Tibet type environment to learn how to disappear into the shadows and do what the shadow does best. But yeah, this is an origin story of the shadow. And so, and this is number 15. Yeah. So yeah, they go right together. Number 14 and 15. So if you can find these, they're a little harder to find. And these are just straight up stories, word written stories with some graphics in between. Let me see if I can find a picture that they do in between. Like they'll do like some of the characters within the story. They'll do little pictures of the characters. Uh, but otherwise, it's written word for the most part. It's totally written word for the most part. And so if you didn't know, of course you can tell, since I'm a huge Batman fan, what inspired Batman, the creation of Batman was the shadow. And you know how with the Batman, how he always disappears when dealing with the commissioner, how he just always just mysteriously disappears and everyone can't figure out how he does it. Same stuff the shadow did. And so what is also cool, I bought another one. This is later on, and this is not Nostalgia who does this one. This one is the Shadows actually fighting the Klan, the Spy Ring, the White Column. And this one here is not done by Nostalgia. It's not done with the same Nostalgia Adventures. This is done by Sanctum Books, and it's a little thicker than the other ones. And by this time, this is Shadow number 82. And if you didn't know, Walter Gibson, and there's a picture of him in here. Uh, I can keep going referring back to this one. Walter Gibson was a prolific writer. I mean, he was cranking out damn near like 2 to 3 stories a month. Uh, so this is Walter Gibson in his older age. He passed in 19, I believe. Da, 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 da. I think he passed in the 1980s, in the early 1980s. But he was born like in the damn the 1890s. He was good. He was probably 90 when he passed. But that's Walter Gibson. And if you haven't noticed the beautiful artwork on these, the paintings on these cut on these books, so I want to give credit to the cover artists. The cover artists on these books were George Rosen and Graves Gladney. Those were the cover artists at that time. George Rosen, if you look up the artwork prices for George Rosen painted works, ooh, you're gonna go broke quick. George Rosen, he was a beast. Um, he was trained by his brother uh, to become an artist. He was not the original artist. He was not. He was trained by his brother to become an artist in order to help feed his family. But he was not originally an artist at all. At least so far as the way the biography was written up. But he went to art school, taught by his brother in art school, and he became this dude here. And I don't think this is him on this cover. The artwork is a little bit different between the two. So I think uh that one might be George no, I'm sorry. Graves Gladney. And the other cool thing is these paperback books that came out in the 70s. These were they started in 1977. They were reprinting the Shadow stories from the 1930s in 1977. This is number 6. This is number 6. The first book, that is done in the Shadow is called The Living Shadow, and I had that paperback a long time ago, but I lost that book. It's very expensive now. This paperback book that was back in the 70s, 95 cents, is now 10 times the it's no 100 times worth what it is because it's now $99. So for that Living Shadow book. So it's really cool. But as you can see, the previous books that were done, The Living Shadow, the Black Master, Mobsman on Spot. Oh, and I read The Living Shadow, and I read Mobsman on the Spot. Yeah, and I read, of course, this one, The Crime Cult. And check out who is the artist. If you can see it, is it here? Is it on the cover? Is it on the cover here? You can barely see it. If it'll focus in, maybe not. It's Jim Steranko. Jim Steranko is the artist on this one, and you can see his name more so at the bottom of this one here, right there. It's Jim Steranko, and my camera's not really there. It is somewhat picking up. And so Jim Steranko, if you guys don't know, Jim Steranko was the guy behind the Nick Fury stories of the 1960s. Uh, Incredible artwork by Jim Steranko, and he's still around, still alive. Sometimes he goes to the artwork shows. He comes out in his like James Bond suits from the 60s. They're like tight fitted, well fitted suits. Cool dude, really great people. I met him at Houston Comic Palooza back in somewhere between 13 and 15. He was such a cool guy. I mean, this whole secret agent look or whatever. He had his ascot on with the suit. Jim Steranko was a cool dude, man. I hope he's still going around to sign people's books. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, go out and meet him. Okay. And so as last piece of bull jiving, and I'll get back to bagging and boarding some. Uh, and the last piece on the shadow. So this piece right here is an original Shadow book, Shadow magazine book. And this is November 15th, 1942. And I can't see what the issue number is, but twice a month it would come out. And so this is an original. As you can see, the nostalgia reprints are much bigger than the original magazines. So this is an original Shadow magazine, and this is a reprint. So when you start going into your Shadow stuff, it can get pricey. I can't lie to you, even for these 1977 paperbacks, these get expensive. And but it's fun. And the Walter Gibson, he was a magician. He used to write for some of Houdini's tricks and uh, some of the trade secrets of Houdini and several other magicians. He wrote books on magic and all the other different kinds of things and spirituality as well. So he was Maxwell Grant or Walter Gibson. He was a bad man. Do the research, but this is good stuff. This is all pre-Batman. Okay, now I'm going to put this to the side. Get back to some of the bagging and boarding. Like I said, we need to get some of this stuff done. So while I'm here, I might as well get some bagging and boarding done while I'm doing a show, as opposed to just wasting time. So this here is from the Flash movie that no one really liked. Uh, I did like it. I thought the story was good. Uh, yeah, I thought the story was pretty good for the Flash. And so this is a magazine. This is a movie magazine for the Flash movie. Again, that nobody liked, but I did, and I ain't mad about myself for liking it. And of course, as you see, this Batman Flash figure behind me, the Michael Keaton version of Batman from the Flash movie. I can't try to take the glare off. There you go, so you can see it better. And so let's bag and board this. Find a board and get that squared away. Now, of course, I found I find a bag that's modern or somewhat modernish that doesn't fit a Silver Age board. So let's try again. Let's do this again. There we go. And bag and board. Now, for those who are getting things graded, I don't know if this will show up in a. Does it show? You can't see on the spine. I can't get it to show, but there is a spine, what they call a tick, where it breaks the color. There's a color break here on this book. Uh, in fact, there are a few. So this book here with these three, at least three color, three pretty nice size color breaks and one tiny one down at the bottom, color breaks on this book. I would at least try to get this. I can't do anything about the color breaks and the ticks on the spine that break the color. In other words, there's a where there's black or whatever, when you get a white, where white from the tick, what they call a tick, or the I guess it would be a gig or an imperfection that breaks the color of the ink, is what they call a color break. That's a gig when you send your books in to be graded, and as well as fingerprints and things like that. And so I know I would have to send this in to be cleaned and maybe a little bit of mild pressing before I send this in, or I do the cleaning myself to get rid of the fingerprints. But I can't do diddly about the color breaks. It's broke, can't fix it. So anyway, and oh, here's my tape. And I always put my tape here and here, and then close it on up. And that's the end of that one. So that's book number two, bagged and boarded. Um, let's see here. What other books did I need to get boarded here? Well, while I'm not bagging and boarding, these are books I wanted to show you. In hopes that I truly hope that Billy Dee Williams comes to the DC area this year. He came last year, and I didn't go, and I hate that I didn't because the older he gets, because Billy's probably he's good and in his 80s. He and Joe Biden are about the same age, but I admire them both, and I would love to have him come back to the DC area. Uh, I've got his autobiography somewhere in here, and I should have had it with me, but I don't. But I bought his autobiography this year, and this is one of the books I would love to get him to grade, as well as his first appearance in the Star Wars comic books. This is number 43, and this is my best copy of it. And as you can see, this one here is faded. This faded version versus this. This is my beautiful copy of it. But yeah, I would love to get him to grade my books. If he shows, man, it would be awesome. I mean, one, it would be great to meet him, and two, to get him to grade my books. And for those who was, kids in the 70s, were born in the 60s and raised in the 70s, Billy Dee Williams was the man back in the day. Not just because of Star Wars, it's Lando Calrissian, but movies like Mahogany, movies like Lady Sings the Blues with Diana Ross, both of those movies with Diana Ross, and Lady Sings the Blues when she was playing Billie Holiday. Uh, let's see here. What is Bingo Long and the Traveling All Stars. Uh, Lando Calrissian. I'm sorry, damn it. Yeah, okay. Billy Dee Williams was the man, and I'm just naming a few of the movies. There are a lot more movies that he did. And of course, if you were a fan of the Jeffersons, uh, their maid Florence, she was just always singing the praises of how she was in love with Billy Dee Williams. Billy Dee Williams could do no wrong. I mean, Billy Dee Williams in her mind was again the man. So yeah, I would love to have him. I would love to get his autograph on these books before he traverses this planet, as we all got to do. We all got to leave this planet. We come here, but we ain't gonna stay. So if I would love to be blessed by his presence and his autograph uh, on my collection. So these are books that I picked up from. I don't know if I probably showed these to you a while back, but this is the first appearance of the Doom Patrol and my greatest adventure number 80. I bought this at Baltimore Comic Con this past October, and I've probably shown this to you before, and I'm going to rush through these because just to get to some of the books I need a bag and board, but just getting through. And I also bought Brother Voodoo, the first appearance, Strange Tales. This is my second time buying this book. I hope I find my other copy. I have no idea what the devil it is. Um, let's see here. Then we've got the first appearance of the Creeper, Steve Ditko, and Showcase. And if you didn't know, the Showcase books, those DC Showcase books from the 50s, 60s, from the 60s, 50s, and 60s, you want to do some research so far as getting books that are very valuable, but under the radar right now, go do your DC Showcase research and get some DC Showcase books because there are many first appearances of characters in DC Showcase. Many, many, many. And some of them you will not be able to afford. Just be straight up. But this one was affordable. It wasn't bad at all. Uh, do your research. Go on to do some DC Showcase books and see what you can find at a steal and get a bargain. Let's see here. I'm going to start bagging and boarding some of these ROM books. These ROM books were from, damn it, um, the 2000. Oh man, I asked up. There we go. Come on, baby. No tearing. No, there you go. Ugh, tape got caught. These were from IDW books. that were published when I was living in Texas. So that was probably like from what I think I want to say like 2017. These ROM books, the covers were amazing. This is number 8. Um, IDW. I'll show you this one, and then I'll try to disembark the tape from this again and turn that damn bag over so it won't stick to anything else. Um, in fact, just close it up. Okay, there we go. So these ROM covers, and ROM was an action figure from the 1970s, uh, and also a comic book. Marvel did some series, did a whole 50 something issue run on ROM back in the day, but it started out as a toy, and in the 1970s, and a comic book later on, as well as the other toy series of the Micronauts. Yeah, they were both toy series that ended up becoming comic books that Marvel produced. The Micronauts was a comic book series as well. But I love these books. And they're much cheaper now. They're much even less than cover price. And some of these variant covers are just plain gorgeous. Number 9. I mean, just plain nice covers, man. Uh, Another variant on number 9. And then last number 9 variant. What I'm trying to do is I want to close out that entire ROM run, uh, and get all the variants. Those variants were just gorgeous. So get something, pardon me here. Okay, let's do some bagging and boarding and move forward. Process, yeah. And yeah, we just move on through, man. This is what I typically do. And my partner, John Michael, we'll sit up in on Saturdays, uh, be on the phone, and we'll show each other books that we bought and procured. And that's how this show began. It was really, we were just like, hey, and we've got all these books that we are showing to each other on video chat. Why don't we turn this into a TV show? I'm sorry, or a YouTube show. Whatever. A YouTube show. Sorry, I'm 55. Call it a TV show. But YouTube show, and show the world some of the stuff that we think is pretty doggone cool. And so that's how we that's how Tuskegee Geese was born. Besides the fact that we both graduated from Tuskegee and we're fraternity brothers. So um well, and actually we pledged together too. So we're line brothers as well. We pledged on the same line together. So this is just a love child of John Michael and myself. And oh yeah, when he makes time to join the show again, that dude, he procured a collection of Silver Age fantastic stuff. And I won't don't be thrown by the word fantastic, but he's got some. hmm, I don't want to divulge because I want John to I want John Michael to tell you himself. See, he's got some great stuff that he procured a few months back. Um, and he's already got them back graded from CGC. Uh, and I won't divulge anything more than that. But when he graces us with his presence, it's one of those things that we will do a show on with the books that he got and procured and got graded. And I know what the grades are. I'm extremely happy for my brother that he got these books, and yeah, it's really cool that his collection expanded, uh, not just in volume, but in value. He's got some gems, straight up gems. Uh, Sadly, he wasn't the first person who got to the cellar. Um, he sadly he wasn't the first person, because there were holes in some of the runs that he procured. Some of those, yeah, so some of those books in the series that I'm talking about, and like I said, John will show you, talk to you about it. There are some key holes, but he still got some really nice stuff. And so I'm like I said, I'm just very, very happy for the brother and for my brother, John. And that I can say I know somebody directly who owns some of these books. Literally, I know him, and when I see him sometime this year, I'm sure we will share, and I get a chance to put my hands at least just on the book and books. And I'm looking forward to putting my hands on those books to say I actually held one in my hands, and that my best friend owns those books. Um, yeah, I'm gonna move. I'm not gonna take these yet. I'll do this a little bit later just to move the show along. And so I was in the golden age. So what I'm gonna do now is stay in the golden age and show you some new books that I bought. And my golden age books, yeah, they already came bagged and boarded, and so I'm not going to mess with them from the bags and board. This is a book called Famous Funnies. Now, Famous Funnies is known. It was one of the very, very first comic books done. This publisher or title, Famous Funnies. This one is number 198. You still see it's a 10-cent book. It is in gorgeous, gorgeous shape. I got to get this one sent off. It's not a key book. It's just an old book that is in a fantastic shape. I mean, amazing shape. Yeah. For the blacks that are on it, I mean, there are very few, very tiny. You can see them there. You can see them in the light here. They're small, very small, tiny spine ticks. You can see even through the plastic. But for the most part, for a book that's probably from the 1940s, and I'm looking at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that tear, little tiny tear at the bottom. But otherwise, it is in fantastic shape. Yeah. This earn, might earn a five, a four, or a 5.0 due to that tearing at the bottom. But anyway, I'm very proud of it. Anyway, so another one that I procured from the golden age. Air Fighters. Now this one's perfect. This book almost looks like I bought it off the comic book store shelf or the spinner rack from back in the 1930s or 40s, whatever the age of this book is. This thing is in, and it's like newspaper. It's not regular shiny paper. This is like a newspaper cover. It's like paper. And it is in sickly good shape. This is a flawless book. And this is another one I got to get graded. Alrighty. And then I've got these books, and I've shown some of these before. They believe this is a Matt Baker book here of Jumbo Comics with Sheena, number 122. Alrighty. And then this Dick Tracy book that has someone decided to take liberties to write on the book. But it's still a very old book. Number 50. And then I've got Nancy and Sluggo. And it's called Sparkler. These are all golden age goodness, as you can see. Uh, yeah, still 10 cents. And then last, from the early stuff in Archie's comics called Laugh, number 123. Real cool stuff. Golden Age goodness. I mean, straight up goodness. All right. So I'll put these books over here with the shadow. Put those books over there with the shadow. And let me see here. I think I've got some stuff here. These are the books I know I've shown you, so I'm not going to show these to you. Uh, I will show this one because I think it's just damn cool. My procurement of this Moff Gideon from Mandalorian #7. I bought 2 copies of it. This is a Mike Mayhew cover, is the artist. And of course, I love Moff Gideon. As you can see, Moff is up here. Well, I can't. My little action figure of Moff Gideon. To work with me, headphones. The Moff Gideon action figure. I'm going to turn my light away again. Love this one. Put Moff back up high. Got 2 copies of that with Moff Gideon. I'm going to clear away all these books that I don't want to show. Another book, if Billy Dee Williams comes, another Star Wars book. This is number 83. And this was a solo story for Lando Calrissian. This is his first solo story. The other one was like a participating story with the Empire Strikes Back storyline, but this one is a first Lando Calrissian solo story. Righty. Down that way. And okay, so I will bag some of these, and I'm going to get ready to wrap this up because I've been talking for a while. I'm going to stay. Yeah, I'll probably show you like 10 more books. These are like preview magazines, DC Connect. These are like previews of books that are coming out. Some people don't bag and board these, but I do. I like to bag and board my previews books because they sometimes will bring out or show a brand new character before it hits the mass production. So sometimes these previews can be your actual real first appearances of a character, of a brand new character. That can become very valuable. Like that the first Miles Morales appearance in the preview. I can't remember what previews magazine, but there's a cover of Miles on a previews magazine, a cover magazine of previews that is pretty doggone valuable. I do not have it because at that time I wasn't ordering previews or getting them from the local comic book store. But yeah, I do not have that book, sadly. Anyway, bagging and boarding, some more bags. Now, since these are just preview magazines, now I will double this one into one, and I'll put them into one bag and board with with the board between them. I'm concerned about preserving them, but not that pressed about it. So, and then I've got this one over here. This is a Marvel Blood Hunt magazine previews of this storyline, Blood Hunt. And I'm going to bag and board it. And this one actually is pretty doggone thick. So a Silver Age bag and board will do this one appropriately because I don't even think a new bag and board or current age would be suffice. It would be very tight if I try to put this in there. So Silver Age is perfect for that. So let me go over here to these old classics over here that I know I need to get bagged and boarded. So this is from my brother-in-law. I bought this from him. This Iron Fist #8. I believe Gil Kane is the artist on this cover, or and John was it John Byrne? I see John Byrne's name. I see Byrne's name on it, but man, it really doesn't look like John Byrne, but it looks like, yeah, John Byrne is the artist on this one. On this #8. It's not in great shape. It's beat up, as you can see, but let's bag and board it to preserve it from getting any worse. I mean, I mean, we can look at the bottom. It's jacked, but that's okay. It won't get any more jacked after the day. Put it away. We're going to stay in the Iron Fist family and get these done. And I'm going to get ready to wrap up within less than 10 books and stop talking to you and let you go. And I'm going to get ready to try to go see this basketball game between University of South Carolina and Iowa. So I'm excited about seeing that game. I know I'm already late to it, but I said I was going to do this mission right here and do this show. So I wanted to knock this out because I've been bull crapping and bull jiving, not doing a show for months. And again, I apologize as I did back at the top of the hour. And oh, I didn't show you. Let me bag and board it first. First appearance of Wolverine and Iron Fist. I'm sorry, first appearance of Sabretooth. Why I say first appearance of Sabretooth, Wolverine's arch nemesis. Iron Fist #14. This is my second copy. This is a better copy. I'm proud to have this one in the collection. It's still not in great shape. It will probably get a 5 due to loss of color. It's maybe a 6, maybe 5 and a 5.5, maybe 5.5, maybe. Alrighty. And then we have this one here with Iron Fist against the X-Men. And this one is one of them old bags. I mean, old bags, probably from almost to the point where bags were first being used. As you can see, the tape is yellow. That ain't my skin, even though people call me Yellow Boy, but no, that's the bag is yellow. It's an old bag that has aged poorly, but it did its job. And this is even before the age of boards. And when the people first started doing boards, they just used plain cardboard. And that plain cardboard never worked well with these books. But quite honestly, looking at this book now that I've got it out and holding it against the studio, the room lighting or the camera lighting, it is actually in pretty damn good shape. I mean, it's pretty gorgeous. Yeah, that's nice. Yep, Iron Fist against the X-Men. And let's go in here. Protect you. Keep the other ones. And this is trash. And the last Iron Fist book. This was my book, I believe. I think this is my original copy of #17. Marvel Premiere #17, which is the first appearance of Iron Fist. Now, I think I'm going to rebag and board because this bag is old. Sadly, someone decided to write on it here and put this star on the 25 over the 25, but Let me take it out and see how it really looks. I bought this a long time ago. I don't even remember when I bought this book or from where. I do not recall. But I've had this for between probably at least 15 years now. So take that off. So the tape won't catch the book, especially with this old paper. You don't want that with this old paper. Yeah. Marvel Premiere, number 17, first Iron Fist. You see some spine ticks on it. There's no doubt. But again, in pretty damn good shape. Not horrible. There's some color loss. There's some color loss along the spine, uh, which is probably pretty typical for books, especially with the black ink at that time. And I don't know who owned it first and what they did to take care of it, but it's okay. Oh, and there's a little hole at the bottom too, I see. You see, there's a little hole. There's a hole. There's a hole. Yeah. I'm gonna try to take care of you. In fact, let me close that hole. As a matter of fact, let's close that hole a little bit. I'm gonna try to move it up. Do I have? I don't. Oh, my knife. My knife. Carefully do this with my knife to close this hole. Mhm. Carefully do this to not tear it further. Get under it. There it is. There we go. And then when I seal it up, we're not going to keep that particular hole. Yeah, now I closed it up. And fortunately, that hole is in the same, is a counter the direction I'm going to push the book in. So it will keep the hole closed as I push in, and that tear goes the other way. Perfect. Looks good. Okay. Um, let's get ready to wrap this up. As I said, it's going to do 10 books or less. This is not. Anyway, other books I bought from the brother-in-law. This Moon Knight special, Bill Sankovich book in beautiful shape. I'll board it. Uh, First Lobo. Need to board this one. Actually, I don't need a bag anymore. That plastic is old. Take it out of this old bag. And don't call you women old bags. Take this comic out of the old bag. Out of this old bag. Uh, there we go. Get a gourd. If you want to be homeless, you can call your woman an old bag, but no, don't do that. Uh, let's do this. As James Brown said, Papa got a brand new bag. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. Much better. Much, much better. And first kill? No, this is not a first Killmonger. This is a Killmonger story. Yeah. That Iron Man annual. This is like I can't remember if it was it's still one of the early appearances of Killmonger. It's one of the early appearances, but this Iron Man king size annual number 5. This bag and board it. And that is the first appearance, and I'll hold it up again once I get it bagged and boarded. That's the first appearance of Madam Slay. Now that is a first appearance for sure. And again, depicted here at the bottom of Iron Man's armor. Madam Slay. And I'll take out the glare. So, uh, let's do these last little. So I'm going to try to do some little good girl stuff and then close it up. Um, Dave Stevens, uh, Goodness. This is a Johnny Quest book by Dave Stevens. One of the 1980s top artists that everyone's seeking right now for good girl art. As you see, the way he draws women is just plain amazing on his Johnny Quest book. So that's this one. Um, it's a Dave Stevens book. And I have quite a few now, more of Dave Stevens. Uh, this Planet Comics, number one. It's not in the most fantastic shape. This one might garner, it might earn a 7. I don't know if you can see that little color break around one of the monsters' arms down here. There's like a color break that goes along a long line around there. There's a little color break. And some of the yellow is slight. There's a slight, some light, very slight color rubbing that I don't know how well it shows, but might get it pressed and can't do anything about the color break that goes along the bottom. Can't do anything about that. It is what it is. The color break is a color break. You can see it there. But this is one of the most famous covers of all time in a very valuable book right now. But I got to get it graded. Uh, let's see here. And then another one by Dave Stevens, The World of Wally Wood. This is another famous cover. Please forgive you if you're offended. Not trying to offend you, but that's Dave Stevens is known for. They call it good girl art. You can call good, you can call it bad, whatever you want to call it, but that's what he's known for. But his depictions are amazing. And last one on Dave Stevens is this Air Boy. These books came out in the mid 80s. And if you can find some of these Eclipse books and Planet Comics or whatever by Dave Stevens, these books are heating up in value. They're beginning to skyrocket. Uh, and I'm glad to have those in my collection. Oh, I have one more by Dave Stevens. I forgot. This one here sitting in front of my face. This Elvira, House of Mystery. He killed this one. Yeah. Proud to have those Dave Stevens books in my collection. And wrapping up. Now, as I said, 10 books or less. Uh, Shout out to my grandson. I won't give his name out, but my grandson is a huge fan of Toy Story. So, uh, in his honor, uh, I'll show these last few books that I procured, and hopefully, as he gets older, but I'm going to get these graded, he will be able to enjoy these books when he gets older, but and pass them down. But Toy Story number one, didn't know there was a comic book file for it. It just dawned me after the 300th time that I've watched Toy Story movies. I just think I've watched every single one of them 300 times. But it dawned on me after the 300th time, maybe there's a comic book for it. So I researched it, and lo and behold, yes, first appearance of Toy Story in a comic book. That one, let's bag and board it right now. So I'm sitting here, so this is bagging and boarding show. So let's do it. And that book was 1997, y'all. If you didn't know, now you know. And I didn't realize that movie was that old. 1997. Little fella is like 5 years old, and he loves it like it came out yesterday. So I'm not mad at him. Happy that he enjoys a movie that is that old, but he loves it. And then number two, And that's Toy Story number 2. Going to get these books graded, and I will save them for him and pass them down to him when he gets old enough to somewhat appreciate that gift. And this is a second copy of number 1 that I bought. I had 2 copies of it. And it's in great shape too. And lastly, on the Toy Story hip, being hip with Toy Story, is a Toy Story Digest magazine. It's another very early appearance, first appearance little Toy Story book, not the comic book, but uh, has some adventures. It is a digest comic book of Toy Story. And some has some regular story material as well as just a magazine, and there's some little cartoonish stuff in it too. I'm trying not to tear this up, but let's put this in a bag and board and protect this. I believe I can get that graded as well. Okay. 3 things and we're out. No, 2 things and we're out. 2 more books and we're out. And get on this game. It's 3:41. Okay. So, of course, I'm a Black history buff. Queenie, the godmother of Harlem. This is based on a true story by Elizabeth Colomba and Aurelie Levy. This is about the mobster Stephanie St. Clair. And if you didn't see the movie Hoodlum with Lawrence Fishburne, Vanessa Williams, Cicely Tyson, uh, 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 oh, Queen Latifah was in it. Oh, I can't think of my man who, and I'm doing him a disservice by forgetting his name. But the main co-star with Lawrence Fishburne, who played the cousin of, and Lawrence Fishburne played Bumpy Johnson. And of course, that Bumpy Johnson is in the Hulu series called The Godfather of Harlem. But she was the precursor that Cicely Tyson played Stephanie St. Clair. Stephanie St. Clair was the first one, kind of, or the precursor to Bumpy. And Bumpy worked for the Queen in Harlem as a mobster, but she was a godmother mobster. And this is a true story. It's in black and white, but the artwork is gorgeous. I've not read it yet, but I've passed this on to many friends, to say, hey, if you want this book, and it's gorgeous. I mean, the black and the gold, it is sick. It's just plain beautiful. Even the drink that she's holding has the metal, like metal paper of gold that shines as well. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Um, Last book that I bought, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 9. We got a little bit of Hitler on the cover. That's a hype thing of having Hitler on books nowadays. We know the reason why. But anyway, this is a Lee Kirby book. And so I'm going to wrap up and going to say thank you for spending time with me today with Two Ski Geeks. If you liked the show and the format, give me a thumbs up, please. I'm doing this for the love of the hobby, and the love of you guys out there who love the hobby as well. I hope I showed you some good stuff. And for those who have never bagged and boarded before, Hope I showed you some how to do and what to do. Sorry, I goofed up with the current size boards. Could have shown you that so far as how to do it, but I mean, once you get the lesson, you know how to do it. And again, the to Boulevard Brewers out of Kansas City, Missouri, the rye, good stuff. I'll probably give it a B minus because it's a rye beer and it's aged in rye whiskey caskets. I'm going to give it a B minus because it's a little rougher than it should be. I think if they really wanted it to be, uh, I would prefer it to be a little smoother. Some people like rough stuff, but it's not horribly rough, but it's a little rougher on the palate than it should be. I think they should have aged it just a little bit longer in those in those rye whiskey uh, casks than they did. I think it would have just given it a little bit of just a tad bit smoother taste than it got. And but it's pretty good. Like I said, I'll give it a B minus, and it's 13.2%. So give credit to your boy who's been chilling out with you pretty well. Very few stumbles, 13.2. And nobody can accuse me of being a bad show host. I have had some rough words here and there, but otherwise, I'm pretty good. And so, thank you for joining us today at Two Ski Geeks. Stay Two Ski Geeked up with us, and it's our job to keep you geeked up about comic books and this hobby, sci-fi, movies, you name it. Next time we'll try to do more stuff on Star Wars and some other stuff. But anyway, have a great Sunday. Hope you enjoy the game like I will. Two Ski Geeks out.